If you have a true scary story you want to share with the channel, go to astheravendreams.com and click the button to do so. And of course, thank you. Hey Raven. So, this is actually an ongoing event, but I wanted to share it because, well, frankly, I feel like it should be out there. I'm doing what I can on my side legally, but so far there isn't much that can be done. I do apologize if some details are vague, like locations, for reasons that will make sense after hearing the story, but here we go. I'm 22 years old and quite active on social media, particularly Instagram. I share photos almost daily, using it as a sort of a visual diary. I'm very vocal in the comments of friends, family, and others that I follow. I'm not afraid to speak my mind or share my thoughts, and it's honestly just fun to me. I don't use it for political stuff or other nonsense like that, just genuine things in life that interest me. You could definitely say that I'm one of those typical users. Because of this, I have a lot of followers and friend requests that I usually just accept after a brief look over the profile. If I see them spouting off about something like politics or one of the other things that I tend to avoid, I won't add them. But a few months ago, I received a friend request on Facebook and a follow notification on Insta for a guy that I will refer to as Aaron. His profile picture was of a dog looking over a cliff. When I scrolled through his page on both, I noticed that he posted a lot of the same pictures. Landscapes, sceneries, and about half of them featured the same dog from his profile pictures. I thought it was pretty sweet. It looked like a guy who really loved his dog. And I'm a sucker for animals and photography. I didn't see any harm in it at the time, so I added him and accepted the follow and went about my life. After adding him, he would like or react to all of my posts and sometimes comment on them. They were all simply responses such as things like, nice pics, or saying that he liked the same song when I posted the lyrics or link to a song. We even had a brief conversation about sunset pics that I took, talking about the colors and how it all looked. He honestly just seemed like someone who had added me due to a mutual interest. From then on, Aaron seemed to comment on more and more of my posts, and around 3 to 4 weeks in, I noticed how his activity had started picking up. What I mean by that is that when I would make any kind of post, I would get notified of his reaction or response within seconds of me posting it. It was almost like he was watching and waiting. I know you can turn on notifications for specific people, and that's likely what had happened, but with how quick he was always with it, it made it seem like he was waiting. Who has time to react immediately and every time to someone's posts like that? At first, I just thought maybe he had a lot of downtime, or maybe he was a big social media person too. Besides, his comments were still all the same, all harmless and nothing striking me as alarming. But of course, I was obviously naive to think that. When I would post a picture of myself, Aaron would compliment my appearance, and even once said something about being the best looking one in the picture of me and some friends. That was about the time that I started getting the private messages from him. He would ask how my day was, what I had planned, or even questions about my daily routine. I would give some pretty normal and even vague responses, because I still didn't know him. And who asks someone their daily routine? When he took his messages to DMs, that's when I started getting this nagging feeling, so I tried to keep my responses dull and professional, hoping to not mislead anyone. But his direct messages wouldn't stop. He would start messaging every day. Good morning, Annie. How's your day going? How are you doing? Good night, and sweet dreams. No matter what I said, he would constantly message stuff like this. I should have taken a screenshot so you could see how timely they were. It was strange. But being me and not wanting to be rude, I would reply. After about the third day, it honestly got old. To ask someone day by day how they were doing was just annoying to me. And it just seemed like he was looking for a reason to message me. So, I decided that I was not obligated to message anyone, especially someone who barely was an acquaintance, so I ignored his messages. But that seemed to bring out the side of Aaron that I wasn't aware of. When I didn't respond, he would resend the message several hours later. If I still didn't respond, he would try to tag me in the message, and even had the audacity to ask why I was ignoring him. I finally responded to him by saying that I was busy, and I didn't have time to talk. I wanted to be a lot meaner, but I hoped I wouldn't have to, and that he would either be understanding or realize that he was being a little possessive. But instead, he just said that he forgave me and then continued on to his normal messages. I once again gave short answers until he finally quit asking. But one of the more unsettling things I experienced since meeting Aaron was 2 weeks ago. I had gone to a coffee shop to meet up with a male coworker. We were working on a large project for work, and we wanted to collaborate on it a bit more, so we could get it right into the next day at work. Once we wrapped up there, I got in my car and noticed I had a new message from him. I ignored it so I could get home first. Once I was home, I checked the message and I had the chills. Aaron had sent me a string of messages saying that he saw me at name of local coffee shop. He said I looked gorgeous in the outfit that I was wearing, describing in detail what I had on. Then he also said that he wanted to sit with me and say hi, but he didn't want to interrupt my date. But there was definitely things wrong with this thought. The biggest one being that I never said anywhere online that I was going to or would be at said coffee shop. So how did he know I was there? And he had to have been there because he described what I was wearing to a T, even down to the earrings. And the way he worded and used quotes around date made me think his comment was sarcastic. And then he ended his string of messages with "Next time, I'll just make sure to introduce myself properly, no matter who you are with." I don't know, maybe it's just me, but this message did not sit right with me. The fact that he described what I was wearing made it seem like he was trying to prove a point. The way he seemed to mock the idea of me being on a date and mentioning a next time made it sound like a threat. These were all red flags for me, but I was somewhat honest with Aaron. I told him that I was no longer comfortable talking to him, wished him a good day, and unfriended him. I didn't even know this person. I had no obligation to be nice to him nor leave him on my friends list, so I did what was best for me. I just hoped that he understood and maybe he would again see that that was far from okay, and we could just move on. I got a follow-up message from him where he did a broken heart reaction to my message and just put, "Okay," and that was it. Until last week. I got a new message from Aaron that included a short video that still creeps me out. It was of me walking around a local grocery store that I frequented, wearing the same outfit I wore 2 days prior when I had gone to said grocery store. It showed me looking at a box of macaroni, and then it moved as it followed me to the next aisle. It was maybe 20 seconds long, and there was text on it that said something like, "I wish I could snatch you up and make you mine. I know we have a connection, but I don't know how to prove it to you." And then it ended. There was no message sent with the video. I just wanted to cry when I saw it. It's something that I never would have expected to happen to me. I'm a nobody. There's nothing special about me. I'm not popular and quite average looking, but here I am now with a bona fide stalker, and I don't even know what this guy looks like. He'd seen me in at least 2 places, but how many other times has he followed me? Hell, what if he approached me and talked to me as I waited in line as I filled my tank at the gas station? What if it was someone I worked with? He could approach me and I could be none the wiser. Now, I've listened to enough of these stories to know what to do. I called the police. It was late at night and I was afraid to even leave, and by the time they got there, I showed them the video and explained everything to them, and they said that they would make a report, but since he hadn't done anything and he hasn't actually threatened me, they couldn't really do much. They did suggest a restraining order, but of course I would need to provide at least this person's full name. All I knew is his possible first name, because that's all that was on his profile. I was angry, but I told them that I would see what I could find out. Unfortunately, Aaron had deleted his account, or blocked me. I'm not sure, but our messages were gone. Just showing something about a quote-unquote user, and that's it. The video was gone, the message about the coffee shop was gone, so I had no more proof. I feel incredibly stupid for not taking those screenshots, and I'm still angry at myself for it, but I honestly didn't expect him to delete them. So, here I am today. No more cryptic or creepy videos from Aaron, but it's done its damage. I feel paranoid, always watching people around me, seeing if anyone is watching me or has their phone pointed at me. No luck so far, which I think has only made it worse. I don't like going places alone, but I refuse to let him control me. I recently got myself some mace, and I did change up my routine a bit, hoping to throw him off some if he was still following me. I wanted to write this out, so I have it all anyways, but I also know that you do stories like this, and maybe some may find this informative as well as entertaining. I'll let you know if I find out any more information, but I'm hoping that it was just some jealous jerk that is too much of a coward to approach me, let alone snatch me up. Thanks for listening. So, I have a bit of a creepy, or I guess more so really strange story that happened a good while ago. I say that, but it was still in the present time. It happened on Facebook of all places. I don't and didn't have much of a Facebook presence. I have like 50 friends, and they're all my family or people that I graduated high school with. I had just turned 40 when this happened, and much like a few people my age, I'm not much of a social media butterfly. I don't care for the tech world, but I can navigate most things. It was a pretty normal day, nothing too crazy. I logged into Facebook because my sister said that she had sent me something on there, and she is the social media type, unfortunately. So I went to the page and then went to my messages. I was a bit surprised to see a message from someone I hadn't spoken to in a few years. Okay, maybe more than a few years, nearly a decade and a half. This guy that I went to high school with, that I used to be good friends with back then, and we're just going to call him Chad. Like I mentioned, Chad and I were good friends way back, but we just hadn't spoken in a long time. The message was pretty simple, just a, "Hey, T, how have you been?" I responded to him, just thinking that he was reaching out to me to catch up. I told him that I was doing well, that life was going alright, and then asked how he was doing. He responded with, "Honestly, not great." I asked what had happened, what was wrong, and he told me. "Well, T, I lost my job a few weeks ago, and I've been struggling with a lot of things. I haven't been able to pay my rent or for my car, and it's just really difficult to keep going." It was an unfortunate story, and I felt terrible for him, but my mind immediately went to, he's gonna ask me for money, isn't he? I was actually surprised that he didn't. I had told him that I was sorry that things were rough, and mentioned that I could sympathize, and that I wasn't immune to the stresses of life. I expected the message that he sent back to say, "Can I borrow $20, but instead, he said, "It's rough out there. I just wanted to reach out to you to say that I always appreciated you, T. You've always been a great friend, and I wanted to say that if anything ever happens to me, You were an awesome friend. I'm so sorry that we grew apart. I was a bit taken aback by this. Definitely not what I had expected. I told him that he was a great friend too, and that I appreciated him and that we could always catch up. I tried to basically say that we could make up for lost time in the near future, and he just responded with, yeah. It was concerning. It sounded like he may have had plans to do something to himself, but there wasn't much that I could do about it. He said that he had to go, but that he looked forward to catching up, and I told him the same, and that was that. Again, I was worried, but what more could I do for him? I decided I would wait a couple of days and check in on him again on Facebook and see if he was doing any better. And maybe set up a time to get lunch. You know, the things you do with old friends, if that makes sense. As it turned out, I didn't have to reach back out to him. 3 days later, I got another message from him, and once again it just said, "Hey." I responded with a hi and then said, "I was just thinking about you, man. I hope you're doing alright." I expected the conversation to continue from there, but his response was just a URL. A seemingly random link to a page that I can't remember. I know now that clicking random links is a stupid thing to do, but at the time I was concerned for my friend and didn't think anything of it. Thankfully, it wasn't malware, but what it was, well, I kind of wish that it was malware. I clicked the link and it loaded a video page like YouTube, but it definitely was not YouTube. I don't recall the site, but it was a video repository like YouTube or Dailymotion. I hit play on the video thinking maybe this was just going to be a funny video or something, but it was weird. It was a video of a dimly lit room at first. Nothing happened for a few seconds. But then a man walked into the frame. Not just any man, but a man wearing a ski mask and literally nothing else. Literally nothing else. This was weird and kind of creepy in and of itself, but then I watched this man in all the glory of the day he was born grab a half-gallon of chocolate milk off a table and chug it. It was more like he poured it all over his face and got some of it into his mouth, making a really gross chocolate milk mess. And that was the whole video. It just ended after that. I just sat there for a moment, trying to figure out what it was that I had just watched. I closed it, went back to Facebook, and sent Chad a message saying, "Hey, so what the hell was that?" He just replied with a smiley face, and then he went offline and didn't say anything more in that conversation. I was confused. I was very, very confused. What was that video? And why did Chad send it to me? Worse yet, the next day when I checked my messages again, I was thinking that I was going to ask Chad about it. I found that his account had been completely changed. The name was no longer Chad. It was another name. The profile picture had been changed, the bio had been changed, and everything about him was something completely different. So, with this, I have to assume that his account was hacked or compromised. But I have questions. My first question: what the hell was that video about? And did Chad send it to me? Or was it sent by the person that had compromised his account? And then, if it was Chad, why? And if it was the hacker, also, why? I never got any answers, as the account disappeared not long after that. And I have never found another account for Chad, so I have no idea what happened to him, nor do I have any closure on that video. I've never found it again, never heard anything about it from anyone else, and I have looked, because I wanted to make sure that I wasn't crazy. If anyone has any thoughts or ideas on this, I would love to hear them. like most people, I have social media accounts. One that I used to be active on was Twitter, or I guess X as it's now called. I'm not going to say what my account was. I had a small cake baking business based in my local hometown, where I would bake cakes and other pastries. So I would post pictures of the food, baking process, and any smaller challenges to bring attention to the business. A friend recommended it to me as a way to get some business rolling in. It got some, but most customers tended to come from Instagram or Facebook. Previously, I only ever used social media for family and friends as I valued my privacy. I don't like how society has changed things up, but you need to adapt. Using social media has also helped bring influencers to the store too, which is its own story, but not the one I'm telling here. Anyway, back on topic. I made several international friends, and we would share about our days and lives. There was a group chat with other bakers, and it was nice to get to know people. I made a post about learning how to decorate cakes because I wanted to expand the business. When I got a reply from someone who was eager to talk to me about it, a little too eager looking back. He told me his real name was Steven and that I could contact him anytime if I needed to talk. That he was always there for me. I thanked him. Once I worked out where he lived, I only tried to message him through reasonable hours. Every time I sent a message, I noticed that he would reply back almost immediately. I thought that was strange, considering he said he was married and had a family. I quickly noticed that the conversations were increasingly less about baking and cakes, and more about my personal life, my hobbies, what I like to do, and this doesn't necessarily bother me. He would always compliment me, even for the most trivial things, and he would tell me how talented and beautiful I was. I would thank him for the compliment, but I wouldn't reciprocate. I'd always be polite and friendly because it was my business, and I wanted to give a good impression. Word of mouth is a powerful tool. Until the questioning took on a more lustful or intimate line of questioning. Example, what size bra do I wear? Or he would estimate for my cup size. I posted pictures of me baking so you could see my hands, arms, and chest. Not that it matters, but my shirt wasn't tight, nor did I show any cleavage. It has never been a problem before with him. In fact, when another guy made rude comments, he'd actually come to my defense. Maybe he felt like I owed him something. I told him that it wasn't okay to ask me those kinds of questions. He apologized, and I didn't want to contact him. I still spoke to him some, but it was brief and didn't have the same familiarity as before. But he apologized sincerely, and he promised not to do it again, telling me that he had seen the errors of his ways. Since it was a professional account, I didn't want to fight with people, and I've never really been good with conflict. About a week later, he sent me pictures of his genitals, and that was the final straw for me. I told him no. I blocked him and told other mutual friends about what had happened. I then heard that he was on his profile telling people that I was trying to seduce him, and that he had kept telling me no. I noticed some of our mutual friends were going between us both, which was disappointing. It didn't remain online. My business email started blowing up, as did my phone number with abusive calls. I debated calling the police because I figured it would die down soon enough. I noticed my account started to be followed by new accounts that would then harass me. He emailed me repeatedly, begging me to forgive him and telling me how horrible I was. Didn't I care how he had felt? I had to threaten him with legal action for him to stop. It then died down. I did notice a few suspicious accounts following me, but they haven't said anything to me yet. After a while, they unfollowed me and must have moved on. I have to admit that I check out every new account that follows me, just in case. I still sometimes post and promote on social media to generate interest in my business, as I won't let some weirdo try to stop me from doing what I love. And thankfully, he hasn't spoken to me since. I have a bit of a creepy internet story that I wanted to tell. I've always been fairly cautious about my online presence. I like to share, but I don't put my stuff out as public. It's friends only for the most part. This was pretty much the one time that it did get creepy for me, and it was probably the last time that I did any sort of posting on a public forum. I was a member of a pretty active photography forum, sharing some of my amateur photos and getting some feedback from other enthusiasts. Pretty much all of my photographs were of landscapes and public areas. I never really shared any photos of myself, and I didn't have any information on my account that could tie directly to me. One day, a user named Adobs left an incredibly detailed comment on one of my landscape photos. They pointed out aspects of the composition and commented on the lighting, sounding like an absolute pro, and telling me things that I hadn't considered. I was very amateur at the time, still kind of am, but I had a basic idea of what I was doing. I was honestly flattered that someone with so much knowledge was giving me any attention. We started chatting a bit on the forums. Anytime I posted a photo, Adobs would comment on it with minor pointers or praise for the shots. After a couple more days, Adobs had sent me a direct message. It was polite and very direct, and basically saying that they loved my photography and that I had real promise in the industry. Their DMs were insightful, and they had never pushed to take the conversation off the site, nor were they digging into my personal life, so I didn't think much of it. They gave me a number of pointers on my photos, telling me small things I should consider changing with lining up things and so forth, and I really appreciated it. Then I did something really stupid. One evening, I had taken a close-up selfie with a camera. It was during the sunset, and there was light coming down at the perfect angle through the window, and I was doing some experimenting with golden hour lighting. I wasn't going to post it to the forum, but after looking at it, I figured it was a close enough shot that you really couldn't make out my features, so it would be safe to post. After I posted it, I got a comment from Adobs that kind of creeped me out. They posted, "Hey, beautiful shot. You did really well with the lighting. It really brings out that tiny scar there. Is that from a childhood accident?" I was a bit taken aback, as there was in fact a scar on my cheek, but it 100% was not visible on that photo. I zoomed in on it, looked at it every which way, but could not see the scar in the picture at all. I got the scar when I was a kid. I crashed my bike. I told myself that I was overreacting and maybe they just had a really good monitor or something. I responded by saying, yeah, a bike wreck when I was a kid. Adobs then sent me a DM again saying, "Yeah, I thought you got that when you were young. By the way, have you tried that new sandwich shop that opened up near your apartment complex? It looks pretty good." And he signed it off with a winky face. My blood ran cold when Adobs said this. I had never posted anything that would give away my location. I had never told anyone on the forum, the city, or even the state where I lived. I knew which sandwich shop they were talking about. It was literally right across the street from my apartment, as they had literally just finished building it as part of a strip mall area they were developing. I ended up signing out and shutting my laptop. This had to be a coincidence, right? Maybe I had mentioned it in passing at some point? The next time I had signed on, I had another message from Adobs that kept up the creep factor. He'd sent me another DM saying, "I wasn't trying to scare you, Amanda. I'm sorry if you took my comment the wrong way." This is when I got thoroughly spooked. I had never put my name on anything. None of my pictures had any ties to me on a personal level. I never posted them on Facebook or anything, so there was no way to do a reverse search on them. Yet, somehow, this random person on this photography forum knew my first name and exactly where I lived. I messaged him asking who the hell he was, and he replied instantly with another winking face. I went ahead and contacted the admins on the site, sending them screenshots of the DMs, and telling them that this person was pretty clearly stalking me and was using their site as their main way to get to me. The admin seemed like it was serious, but basically said that they couldn't do anything because beyond warning or banning him, he wasn't doing anything illegal. They said they would keep a hold of the screenshots and keep the logs, just in case he did do something illegal. Yeah, that was really helpful. I ended up deactivating my account, but the damage was done. Adobs had gotten real-world information on me, and I felt seriously exposed and vulnerable. For a little while, I was a bit jumpy and didn't want to do much outside of my apartment. Now, I know that it wasn't much of an event, but it was still terrifying to me. And I'm grateful that nothing more ever came of this. Adobs never reached out to me in any other way, and I never got any creepy, unexpected visitors. But it still does freak me out to know that I, more than likely, was in the same building or business as this guy at some point after this. There's a chance that I went to that sandwich shop that he mentioned, and that he was there. And I didn't know it, but he did. He could have been physically stalking me for a while after, and there's literally no way that I would have known. Though I like to think that I would have noticed someone that was constantly in my background. But honestly, who knows? So that, my friends, was a collection of some true scary internet creep and I guess social media stories as well. This one could almost be branded as a social media video, couldn't it? One of them was on a forum, which I guess is a type of social media. The other ones were on social media. I think I might make the title something like True Scary Internet Creep and Social Media Horror Stories, something like that. Because yeah, these are all internet and social media stories. Good creepy stuff. I kind of want to know about the chocolate milk video, I'm not going to lie to you. That's weird, right? That's a weird thing. It's a weird thing for a person to randomly send you. Yeah. Anyways, hopefully you all enjoyed these internet creep, or internet creepy as I apparently wrote in my notes. Not outro notes, my calendar. I don't have outro notes. Anyways, I wrote internet creepy. So internet creep stories, hopefully you all enjoyed them. I did. They were interesting and definitely weird and creepy, so. If you did enjoy them, please do consider hitting that like button on this video. That helps the video do better. I appreciate it more than you know. You can also subscribe to the channel. That helps quite a bit too. Helps the channel grow. We're trying to reach numbers. We're trying to reach things. We're trying to get to different numbers, and we're getting there. It's slow, but we're getting there, and it takes time. And it's this year's kind of been weird. Like, the slow months have been also my best months for, like, views, but, like, lowest for subscribers, so I guess it's just because you guys keep coming back and watching the videos versus new people seeing them, but I don't know. YouTube pushes channels oddly, so I don't know. Anyway, yeah, subscribe, like, go down below the video and leave me a comment if you're feeling ever so bold and would like to do so. And of course, if you have any stories like these or anything else, go to astheravendreams.com, click the big button that says click here to submit your story, and that gets your story over to me. You can also do a super thanks, which is a tip to the channel, never expected, always appreciated. You can also join memberships or Patreon to get early access content like this. And you can also check the merch store, that's another thing you can do. To get merch, just stuff that I design. Just stuff. You know, cool stuff, less cool stuff, I don't know. I like it all. I buy it whenever I have money, so. All that said, friends, hope you're having a beautiful day. Hope I do see you again here very soon. And I hope that, yeah, you remember you are loved, you are valid, you are important. You're the best you that you can be. Do not forget it, and don't let anyone tell you otherwise. And until I see you again, my friends, much love, and as always, sleep well.